Okay, let's talk about that number you see everywhere, $10,000 a month. It's kind of become this benchmark for success, right? But how do you actually get there? Most of us just follow the path we were taught. But today, we're going to break down a different route, a smarter one. And there it is, the magic number, $10,000 a month. For so many people, this is more than just money. It represents a tipping point. It's the freedom to finally quit that job you hate, or the security to support your family with all the stress, or maybe just the capital to finally invest in your own big ideas. This is the goal we're shooting for. But let's get real for a second. Let's ground ourselves in reality. According to the Social Security Administration, the average monthly salary is actually closer to this, about 5,300 bucks. That massive gap between the dream and the day-to-day, well, that's where most people get stuck. It feels like you have to literally double your income just to get to the starting line, and that can feel absolutely impossible. So this really boils down to two core paths you can take. Over here on one side, you've got the traditional route. You know the drill, school, university, get that 9 to 5. It's the path where you're basically trading your time for money. Yeah, it feels secure, but man, it is slow and your income is always capped. But then there's this new route. You develop a high-income skill, you turn that into a real business, and you create scalable assets that work for you. It's a whole lot faster, but it for sure requires you to take some initiative. And here's the thing, timing is everything. Look, you can switch to this new route at any age, but it gets so much harder the longer you wait. As you go down that traditional path, life just happens. You get a mortgage, you have a partner, maybe some kids, and all that stuff starts to pile up. It makes that leap of faith feel way, way riskier. It's just easier to make the jump sooner rather than later. All right, let's dive into the first real step of this new route. It all starts right here with consuming and learning. Think of this as the foundation, where you're just gathering all the raw materials you're going to need to build this new future. And I absolutely love this analogy. Consuming knowledge is literally like gathering wood and stone in Minecraft. You can't just go build some epic castle or, a high-income career without first grabbing the essential resources. This is all about actively seeking out high-value info, not just mindlessly scrolling. So how do you actually do this effectively? Well, it starts with number one, identify. Pick one high-income skill that you have a natural gift for. It's always easier to sharpen a strength. Next, you seek out credible experts on places like YouTube and really soak up with their teaching. And finally, and this is so key, you join communities on Reddit or Discord. Why? Because this is where you find the real-world problems people are complaining about and are desperate to solve. And that right there is pure gold for what comes next. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, but what skills are we talking about? Here are just a few high-demand examples. Video editing, sales, web design, coding. What they all have in common is that they solve a really expensive problem for businesses. The key isn't to master all of them. Just pick one that actually interests you and go all in. Okay, on to step two. Once you've gathered all that knowledge, it's time to apply it and scale it. This is where the rubber meets the road, It's where theory becomes reality and where you start turning what you've learned into actual experience and, yes, actual income. Man, this is so, so important. You have to give yourself permission to be bad at first. Seriously, nobody, and I mean nobody, starts out as an expert. This quote from Mark Zuckerberg just nails the mindset you need. Failure isn't the end. It's just a necessary and honestly valuable part of the learning process. I mean, just think about it for a sec. J.K. Rowling was rejected a dozen times before someone took a chance on Harry Potter. Beyoncé made hundreds of songs before she had her first monster hit. The goal in this apply phase isn't about being perfect. It's about getting experience. That experience, that becomes your most valuable asset, period. Okay, and this right here is a super critical point. Once you get good at your skill, it's really easy to get stuck in what's just a high-paying job. You're still trading your hours for dollars. To truly scale, you have to build systems. Imagine a video editor who writes down their entire process, from how they pick clips to how they post, and then they hire people for each little task. That's how you go from being a freelancer to being a real business owner. And that brings us to the final step. And honestly, this is the most powerful one. Educate and earn. This is where you leverage all that experience you just worked so hard for, and you create a truly scalable business by teaching other people what you now know. The math on this is actually pretty simple. If you create a $100 educational product, like a course or a guide, and you sell it to just 100 people a month, bam, there's your $10,000 goal. But the real magic here isn't just the math, it's that you've created an asset. You build it once, and it can work for you over and over again. You've finally broken that link between your time and your income. Okay, right about now, I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone listen to me? There are already so many experts out there. And the answer is simple. Your biggest advantage is your relatability. You just went through this whole process, so you get the struggles way better than some expert who did it 20 years ago. Your authentic, real stories are your unique selling point. And seriously, don't worry about creating competitors. The truth is, most people just won't take action. So how do you actually build an audience that cares? You make an impact. This framework is awesome. It's all about combining an inspiring story with a clear message. You have to give practical, actionable advice, not just fluff. You do it all with authenticity to build a real connection. And finally, you use timing, jumping on trends to get your valuable message in front of the right people at the right moment. So let's just pull this all together for a second. This new route to 10 grand a month, it isn't about landing one high-paying job. It's a three-step journey. You consume knowledge, you apply it to get real-world experience, and then you educate others to create a business that can truly scale. And at the end of the day, that really just leaves you with one question. You've seen the traditional path, and now you've seen this new route. You can stick with what's familiar and slow, or you can take the initiative and build something for yourself. So which path will you choose?